Hi everyone. I have been asked to deliver this risky play session for our parents, just so that you guys have more of an understanding of what the term risky play is and how that works out at Little Bugs with our children there. So, in this session, we are going to explore what risky play is, why it's so important for child development. We're also going to explore risky play through the theory and some theorist approaches from Froebel to Ellen Sanderser to Tim Gill as well. And we're also going to discuss how to develop a culture for risky play, what our roles are in the nursery as practitioners, and how we facilitate risky play. And of course, the benefits for our children as well. So, you must be thinking, what is risky play? So, risky play is seen as exciting activity that involves physical risk and provides an opportunity to test the limits and explore boundaries. So, here at Little Bugs, we have lots of different variations of risky play. That could be tool work, that could be pond dipping, and we'll kind of go on and explain a little bit more about these types of risky play and how that supports children's development throughout. So, risky play gives the children opportunity to challenge themselves. So, we're instead of being risk averse, we're asking children to take those risks in an area where they feel safe and secure and where they can be supported. Um, so, we're supporting them to push their boundaries and judge a situation and consider their actions. So, we're giving them all those problem solving skills to kind of help them through. And hopefully, with the view that this will help them navigate risk in adulthood or older childhood, actually. We're hopefully promoting ways to keep themselves safe. So, by offering that kind of risk um, opportunities to children, we are showing them what is a safe thing to do and what is not a safe thing to do, and when they need to ask for support. So, why is risky play important? So, without challenges and risks, children will find play areas uninteresting or use them in inappropriate ways, which then becomes dangerous. So, one of the ongoing discussions I certainly had at the Hopeton estate when we first opened up Abercorn Nursery was the kind of risks about the loch that we've got that we walk past every day from the car park. Now, with those risks come so many sense of wonderments for children, and I think it's really important that we subject children to that kind of risk aspect when they're pond dipping or even just going down to the loch to have a look in it. If we can show them the safe ways to access these areas, then hopefully we minimise any accidents happening, and we're also educating our children on how to be safe in these areas. So, what is the difference between a risk and a hazard challenge? So, a risk is the possibility or likelihood that something bad will happen. So if we educate our children and have risk in a kind of safe and sensible area where they're supported and are safe with the kind of onlook of adults, then the possibility of something bad happening actually reduces massively. In terms of a hazard, that's where something that can cause harm. So we're talking about things like cleaning fluids or rope swings when we're not using a harness. And the challenge is something demanding that tests your ability. So we are trying to add in those kinds of challenges when we do a bit of risky play in there as well. To try and support children on actually challenging themselves, because the only way, and we know this, the only way to learn is to challenge, is to make mistakes, and is to go back and correct those mistakes as well. So at Littlebugs, we carry out risk assessments, but our risk assessments are called risk benefit assessments. So they aim to understand, firstly, what are the benefits for children. So if we were going into the woods, we would be listing everything that would be beneficial about our walks through the woods that day. So it might be that we are tree identifying, that we are collecting bugs, that we're looking at different kinds of leaves, that there's lots of educational properties in there. It's a free space for children to run and explore. So then we would talk about what the potential hazards were. Well, children might trip over a root, or there's the risk that children could get lost in that wider space. And then we talk about who is at risk. So is it the children? Is it the staff? Is it other users of the site? And then finally, we talk about the precaution to reduce the risks of injury, or to reduce the risks of hazards or bad things happening, really. So that might be a number of things. So it might be that certainly we when we're going out on a walk, we try our best to take extra adults with us, so that if some children want to explore a little bit further away, then they can do so in a safe manner. So here's some further examples of a risk benefit. So we've got running and outdoor games. So the hazard on that might be that children trip, fall, they might slip, they might cut themselves, there could be grazes, and there could be head injuries. But actually, the benefits of that is that it builds an increased awareness of surroundings and their teamwork. It increases their cooperation, their communication, their sense of body, their gross motor skills, their well-being, their balance, their decision-making skills, the ability for them to follow instructions, their listening skills, and responding to their environment in different weathers as well. So for all those hazards are completely outweighed by the benefits of doing that activity. So another one might be tree climbing. So the hazards of climbing a tree are falling or slipping due to weather or inappropriate clothing and footwear. Again, the children may receive cuts and grazes or splinters from the trees. But actually, we know that the benefits of tree climbing are developed focus and concentration. Children are building self-confidence. They're increasing their gross motor skills again. Their resilience is building constantly, when they're challenging themselves to get that one branch a bit higher. Their spatial reasoning skills are increasing. They've started to develop a positive "I can do it" attitude, which boosts their confidence even further. It increases their strength in their arms. They're feeling a good closeness and sense of nature. They're able to use their sensory feedback processing, where they can feel the tree and see things from different perspectives and heights. So again, a perfect example of how the benefits outweigh the hazards there. So we've got here our rope swing and playground swings. So our hazards might be that we trip on ropes, we could catch our necks, strangulation, rope burn, falls, and entanglement. Now, it's worth mentioning that when we are doing risk benefit assessments, we also kind of have that bit in there to minimise risks. So for this one, it would be, that an adult's with them on the rope swing, or the rope's not too long, or the rope is taut so that there's no loose rope for any real serious injuries. Now, obviously, every activity comes with risk, but again, what we're looking at is the developments and the benefits that has to children. So children are developing their sensory their system. They're using their proprioceptive aspect of it, so they're able to push and pull and get that kind of feeling, let out that frustration. And also, if you sit a child in a swing, they become a lot calmer, so it's a way of self-regulation as well. Their spatial awareness increased. It strengthens their inner ear balance. It calms anxiety. It stimulates the brain as you move back and forth. It encourages you to see things from a different perspective, and it develops those motor skills and social skills such as turn taking as well. So keeping this all in mind, it's really great that our children are able to have all these risky play activities at nursery and remain risky. And from birth, children are motivated to explore and move. They seek out thrilling and adventurous experiences, which is a really positive thing for their brain development. However, as they do grow older and they start school and things, they can start to avoid taking risks. And there are lots of factors contributing to this as well. So it may be that there's not enough access to unrestricted environments of free play. I've spoken in the past, especially at the curricular event, about free play and that leading into schools and that kind of leading into the primary 1 and 2 stage, which is something that I believe is really positive. And I think this is a lot of focus for the kindergarten stage coming in there as well, so that our children still have access to these free play environments. And it could be that there's too much adult pressure, so we're asking children to sit down at a desk, and there's too much adult pressure to take risks that they are not ready for, so that can cause them a bit of trauma, and it's not a thrilling experience because it's not at their own pace, they're under pressure. And if children are only discouraged from taking any risks, then they can become fearful of them. So it's crucial that as practitioners and as a nursery and as family groups, we make sure that risky play is available for all children so that they can test their limits and challenge themselves in that safe and supportive environment that they need. So due to that, we could talk about what negative impact not having risky play could have on our children. So that means that they're a risk averse. So it means that it could really lack the confidence in themselves and they may be unwilling to try new things. They could have lower physical development. They could be more fearful of rapid movement and heights. They could become less coordinated and less able to manage their own risks safely when they're older. So that's taken away that kind of problem solving skill again as well. So moving on to some of the theorists' principles behind risky play. So at Littlebugs, we do a lot of work on the Froebel policy. So Froebel is a German educationalist, greatly appreciated the importance of the outdoors and the learning opportunities it provided for children. His work recognised the value of risky play and creating space and adventure. He believed that supporting adults should focus on the benefits for children rather than the risk itself. So that kind of risk-benefit assessment. He considered the early years environment one of the few places for children to safely test their limits. And he considered a risk-taking an important skill in developing as a learner, as it helped children have a go and enjoy challenge rather than fear it. So the child who does not know their strength and their demands made on it is likely to venture beyond their experience and run into unsuspected danger. So his thoughts way back when, the early 19th century, were very much, if we don't prepare children for kind of dangers and help them problem solve and deal with them in a kind of safe and stimulating area, then they will run into the unexpected danger and they won't know how to deal with it. And in fact, that's actually a lot more. Our next theorist is Ellen Sandster. So Ellen Sandster is a professor of early childhood education in Norway, and much of her research was focused on child's risky play and the association that it has with well-being. So quite a influential topic just now, and so it should be. So she found out that children naturally seek out adventurous and thrilling play experiences. She has identified 6 categories of risky play, which we're going to talk a little bit about in a second. And in risky play, she identified that children attempt new challenges and experience feeling out of control. So, when we've got a kind of after the pandemic, we've got a lot of issues with children's mental health and them trying to control situations and feeling out of control and dealing with those transitions and those change. Actually, if we can expose children to taking those risks and challenging themselves where they do feel out of control, it helps them kind of manage change throughout their lives as well. So great heights. So Sanderson research on risky play for her doctoral thesis, Scary Funny, a quantitative study of risky play among preschool children. As part of that, she concluded that experiencing both exhilaration and fear at the same time was the primary goal of engagement in risky play. So she said that the 6 categories basically of risky play were great heights, so that's climbing, jumping, balancing, hanging, and swinging. She said that high speed was one of the other areas of risky play. Again, so that's swinging, sliding, rolling down hills. We've got the lovely Alice in this photo doing a wee bit of a wheelbarrow race, cycling, skating, and skiing. And if we can think about as adults how much adrenaline that gives us, and we're fully grown, can you imagine how much adrenaline and fun that can offer for children as well? So the third element was dangerous tools. So again, most of us really enjoy a power tool and the power that that kind of gives us. So cutting tools such as knives and saws, and tools such as ropes as well. So a lot of rope work, and I think that's why older children also like bushcraft skills, and how and the fact that whittling and things is really a popular thing as well. So after that we have dangerous elements. So that's deep water and fire pits. Now, the amount of children that love it when we pull out the fire pit, either Fordle or Abercorn, and they get to light the fire, and they get to be near the fire. It's teaching them, that fire is a good thing. It keeps us warm. It helps our food. It brings us light. But actually, it is dangerous, and we have to behave appropriately around it. And also here, when we went down to see the swans at one of the little ponds as well, deep water is incredibly dangerous. But again, it comes with so many benefits. There's so many ecological benefits in the terms of the kind of birds that we see nest in, and how it really is beneficial to our environment to have that as well. Now, one of the other areas that she had identified was rough and tumble play. So, rough and tumble play is really like wrestling, chasing, fencing, or fighting with sticks, or play fighting. So, I think we've all experienced children, either our own children or other children, wanting to do this as well. And games like Tig and things are complete examples. And the squeals that you hear from children when they're running around playing Tig, it kind of, again, it's that kind of adrenaline boost that it gives them. And lastly, she identified the fear of disappearing and getting lost. So, the aspect of risky play. So, actually, disappearing and getting lost is really playing alone in an unfamiliar place where you can explore it, or just playing alone somewhere else, or exploring or wandering as well. So, that's that kind of exploration area of risky play as well. And of course, at nursery, no children ever get lost, but it's the sense of having those big open spaces where they can explore and they can run freely. But again, it's in a controlled manner as well with our staff. So, Tim Gill is a writer, and a consultant and an advocate for children's play. He is one of the creators of the risk benefit assessment, so this is his baby that we kind of follow. So he co-created the risk assessment, and he fully believes that children need to experience uncertainty, that outdoors enables more risky play and a sense of freedom when we've got heaps of space at both our nurseries being completely outdoors as well. And he also believes that risk is really about seeing the possibilities and seizing the opportunities. So The outdoors enables more risky play because it offers greater variability of space and uncertainty, and the children need space and time where they can feel in control to develop their sense of urgency and agency. They can understand and build their own routines in there as well. So in terms of other research, I could talk about research all day into the benefits of risky play. But risky play has been developed and supported by lots of early years practitioners, consultants, and trainers. So these include Simon Barsley. He appreciates the need for risky play by recognising children seek out risk as they grow, and it's a way for them to find their place in the world. He has written A Play Worker's Guide to Risk, which addresses why risk is important, how to deal with family concerns and explain those, and much more. So Helen Tovey, his work is Playing Outdoors. Spaces and Places, Risk and Challenge supports the value of risk and challenges in outdoor play, and it provides space, freedom, and opportunities to explore, helping to develop children's resilience and cope more easily with unexpected events. And I think that is, one of the major aspects for me in opening an outdoor nursery as well, is that I saw so many children find it really difficult at primary school age just to do simple transitions into a dining hall or back in from playtime, and it was putting a lot of stress and pressure on children, and I can only but imagine the fallout from the pandemic on what that kind of looks like as well. So yeah, by having these kind of risk elements, it's helping develop children's resilience, and they can cope with those unexpected events and changes because they're exploring places they've perhaps never been before. And finally, we've got Catherine Solly, and she wrote Adventure, Risk and Challenge in the Early Years, where she explores what children can learn from risk balancing key experiences with children's safety. She also noticed that children naturally seek challenges and they are essential for the overall development, and she offers practical guidance on how to offer such a challenging experience. So these are other go-to points as well if you're. So I know that you must be thinking now, what kind of risky play is available at Littlebugs? So we do a lot of play with ropes, so we make our own swings. Here you can see in the top picture, we made a Spider-Man net, which proved very popular in the nursery as well. So children enjoyed accessing different levels of the nets. We are building planters in that kind of middle photo there. There was some use of power tools and things way back at the beginning in order to build those planters. And actually, do you know what? The use of power tools isn't predominant at Littlebugs. There is sometimes that we use power tools, but just basic hand tools and real tools as well. The children really, really enjoy. And then of course we've regularly got fires on the go. So whether that's to keep us warm, whether that is to cook on. So we've got an after school club here in that bottom photo, having a wee cookout on the open fire. So I guess one of the major questions that I get from parents about risky play is, after why we do it, but I've just gone through all that, is really how can I boost risky play at home? How can I make it safer for my children? And what kind of language can I use? Or is my language really hindering my child from taking on those risky play aspects? So this is the next part that I really, really wanted to use. These examples of language that will often fall out of our mouths as parents and as family members. So here are some of the absolute classics. So slow down, not so high, get down from there, be careful, don't go there, come down, it's too high, that's dangerous. So all real kind of negative connotations. So overusing phrases such as be careful can really inhibit healthy risk taking, and it will increase that kind of panic and anxiety into children and kind of make them think that they're doing something wrong, and it can affect their confidence a bit. So try and tune into a child's potential risk while encouraging them to figure out how to behave and respond and adapt to their play. So that might be that, they're climbing a tree, and instead of you going over and saying, be careful or get down from there, you're saying, can I support you in climbing that tree? Where do you think you would like to put your foot next? Don't worry, I'm here to catch you if you feel like you're going to fall. And just really support that kind of adventurous streak in your child. And this will encourage problem solving skills and less dependent on an adult, because once they've done it once, they'll be able to do it over and over again. If you do say be careful, be specific about what they need to be careful of and make it clear for children. So if you're close by the pond and you see your child running over to the pond, it's okay to say just be careful because it's really deep water. So you're identifying the risk there and you're allowing them to manage that risk themselves. So preparing for risky play, you could try using other phrases like I've already mentioned. So I'm here if you need support. How could you keep yourself safe? And then during those risky play, wow, you are high. That's an impressive climb. Where do you think would be safe to put your hands or foot next? So you're not asking them to come down. You're not adding that anxiety by saying what they're doing is wrong. You're giving them a kind of rundown on the risks and supporting them to understand the whole aspect of adventure and investigation. So other parent concerns when it comes to risky play is of course massively your child's safety. Many of you will not have heard of the terms risky play. So it's important that we're open and honest about it, and we explain it to help reassure you and also to share the benefits. So we're happy for you to question us if you think that actually the risks outweigh the benefits of some activities, and we're also happy to share those risk benefit assessments with you as well. So we want to support parents through observations and feedback on risky play nursery. So you'll be able to see that your children play with woodworking tools because it'll be part of their observation. And as a part of that, you'll be able to see the link to the curriculum on that as well. And we're of course on hand to ask any questions or share risk benefit assessments if it's something that you're really interested in. So the role of the Littlebug staff is really to be supportive. So adults who enjoy being outside, who interact sensitively and to take a positive approach to adventurous play are crucial. So that's, I can safely say, all of the adults that work at Littlebugs. We help children to assess risk for themselves and teach them safe ways of doing things. So we're supportive. We try to focus on the benefits of risky play and use positive and supportive language. And we're considering activities really carefully before we just say no, and we try not use those kind of phrases like come down, that's too dangerous. So we assess and evaluate as well. So we weigh up the risk to the benefit. So that's why I'm saying if you feel that you need to challenge us on that, please do. And we enable children to take risks and not prevent them from doing that. So, children are only going to take risks if they trust the adult that's with them. So we allow children to decide, and we give them a voice, and we build that relationship with them so that there is a trust element there for them as well as us. And we allow time. So we give children extended periods of time where they can play, experience freedom and physical activity. So a lot of our activities at Littlebugs is free flow. So, we're not doing, that's what a lot of parents ask, why we don't hold sessions where we're all learning to paint at the same time. Because every child is different and every child experiences things in different ways as well. So having that kind of free flow environment means that they can spend extended periods of time where they can play, they feel free and they're physically active. and they're not rushed and getting distracted as well, unless they're ready to move on, of course. So, benefits in conclusion for the child. So, exploring and playing, risky play helps to increase a child's confidence, their social skills, their positive attitude and can do attitude as well, and willingness to take those risks. And they're learning by trial and error. They're using those problem solving skills, definitely. So risky play also develops active learning by increased levels of involvement, well-being and energy. So they are completely involved in what they're doing. They're making the decisions and they're using their energy. They're learning how to persevere and they're being resilient. So if they do get something wrong, they're getting up, they're brushing themselves off, and they're trying again. There is not we speak so much about no shame at Littlebugs. It's okay to make mistakes, and that's how we're going to build resilience there. And also at the end of that's a kind of sense of pride and satisfaction, and they're meeting their own goals that they've set there, and I think that's really, really beneficial to them as well. So it helps them to create and think more critically as well. So it explores different ways of doing something. So we know that everybody's brain works in different ways. So we're supporting children to be individuals and to problem solve and think of different ways of doing things. Yeah, so that problem solving is there 110%. It might be that children are at different heights and they want to climb a tree, so it's individual problem solving. They can review how well activities are going, and then that gives them that kind of child's voice as well. That kind of child's voice is in there as well. And then we're also encouraging them to change the strategy and what's worked out well for them, what could they do different next time. So in terms of risky play, that is it from us. If you have any further questions or you would like to know a bit more, then your child's key worker is always on hand, or you've got your team leaders or your management team, or any questions about this PowerPoint, then please, get in touch with me, Louise, and I can see what I can answer. But feedback definitely welcome as well. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch.